Every great story has a turning point, that moment when everything seems lost, but something inside refuses to quit. That's the moment when failure transforms into fuel. You see, success isn't built on comfort or convenience, it's built on pain, rejection, setbacks, and the decision to rise again. This isn't about avoiding failure. It's about mastering it, learning from it, and turning it into the very thing that drives you forward. So today, we're going to break down how to move from failure to success, not someday, but starting right now. Failure. That single word has stopped more dreams, silenced more potential, and buried more ambition than almost anything else. Yet, if you strip it of emotion, if you look at it with clarity, you'll see something completely different. Failure is not the end. It's the beginning of growth. It's not a signal to stop, it's a signal to start evolving. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has faced moments of deep disappointment, rejection, and defeat. But the difference between those who quit and those who rise lies in one simple truth. They understood that failure wasn't there to define them. It was there to refine them. When you fail, it hurts. It feels like the world is collapsing on you. You start questioning your worth, your ability, your direction. But the pain you feel isn't a punishment, it's feedback. It's life's way of saying, you're close but not quite there yet. That sting, that frustration is energy. You can either let it destroy your confidence or you can channel it into power. The moment you stop seeing failure as a dead end and start seeing it as a doorway, everything changes. Because failure, when embraced, is your greatest teacher. Think about the people who built empires, who invented things that changed humanity, who turned nothing into greatness. Their stories are filled with failure, sometimes hundreds of them. The difference is they never let failure have the final word. They used it as a mirror, not a wall. Every mistake, every fall, every setback showed them where they needed to grow. It revealed what they didn't yet know, what skill they needed to sharpen, what belief they needed to strengthen. That's the secret. Failure exposes your gaps so that success can fill them. You see, growth doesn't happen in comfort. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Growth happens when things break, when things don't go your way, when the plan falls apart, and you're forced to rebuild from the ground up. Those moments, the ones you wish you could skip, are the moments that shape you into someone unstoppable. Because when everything falls apart and you choose to keep going, you discover your real strength. You find out that your limits were never limits at all. They were illusions waiting to be shattered. The reason failure hurts so much is because it confronts your ego. It strips away your excuses, your illusions of control, your belief that you can always win on the first try. But once your ego steps aside, your spirit steps forward. That's when learning begins. That's when you start paying attention to what truly matters. Not how fast you can succeed, but how deeply you can grow. Every time you fail, you gather data. You gather experience. You gather wisdom. And eventually, those lessons connect. They build momentum. They form the foundation of your next success. But here's the problem. Most people never reach that point because they let the emotion of failure stop them. They make it personal. They tell themselves, I failed, so I must not be good enough. No, failure is never about who you are. It's about what you did and what you can do differently next time. You are not a failure, you simply experienced one. That distinction is everything, because once you separate your identity from your outcome, you free yourself to try again, to improve, to evolve without fear. Every failure is preparing you for something bigger, but you only see it if you keep moving. Think about it like this: when you plant a seed, the soil must first crack open for life to emerge. That breaking is not destruction, it's creation. The same is true for you. Failure cracks open the surface of your comfort zone so new growth can begin. It breaks the shell of who you used to be and gives birth to who you're meant to become. You might not see it now, but every setback you faced has been shaping you, toughening you, sharpening you. The world doesn't hand greatness to those who avoid failure. It rewards those who endure it, learn from it, and rise through it. So the next time you fall short, don't shrink back. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Because buried in that question is the key to transformation. Failure is not a sign that you're done. It's proof that you're trying, that you're alive, that you're pushing your limits. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to understanding what it takes to win. Don't curse the process. Trust it. Every great success you'll ever achieve will have failure as its foundation. Let it teach you. Let it mold you. Let it strengthen your resolve. Because in the end, success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning how to rise higher every single time you fall. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can have the most powerful dreams, the most inspiring goals, and the deepest desire to change your life. But without action, none of it matters. Failure turns into success not through wishful thinking, but through relentless movement. The truth is, the people who create extraordinary lives aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. They take another step, make another call, write another page, build another plan. Even when everything around them screams, stop. That's how transformation happens. Most people hesitate because they think they need to have everything figured out before they start. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect mindset. But perfection is an illusion. Waiting for the right time is just another form of fear. The right time never comes. You create it by moving forward. Every small action, every imperfect step builds momentum. And momentum is everything. When you move, even when you're unsure, you start to build energy. You begin to attract opportunities that didn't exist when you were standing still. Action has a power that thought alone will never have. You can visualize, you can dream, you can plan. But until you move, those ideas stay trapped in your mind. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. Every step you take, even if it feels insignificant, creates ripple effects. One decision leads to another. One effort opens another door. One conversation changes everything. The smallest action can start a chain reaction that leads to massive transformation. But you'll never know unless you take that first step. You have to understand something powerful. Consistency beats intensity every time. You don't have to take giant leaps every day. You just have to keep showing up. Success is not built in bursts of inspiration. It's built in quiet persistence. It's built in the moments when no one is watching, when the motivation is gone, but you still move forward. That's when character is forged. That's when your identity shifts from someone who hopes to someone who does. There will be days when you feel like nothing is working, when your effort seems wasted, when failure feels like it's chasing you. But remember, the process always comes before the payoff. Seeds don't sprout overnight. They grow in the dark, silently, slowly, consistently, until one day they break through the surface. That's exactly how progress works. Most people quit in the dark, never realizing how close they were to breaking through. The ones who keep going, even when results aren't visible yet, are the ones who eventually win. Action also kills fear. You can't think your way out of fear, you have to move your way through it. Fear grows in the absence of motion. The longer you sit still, the louder doubt becomes. But when you act, your brain shifts focus. You stop thinking about what might go wrong and start focusing on what needs to be done. Each step forward weakens the grip of fear. Confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from action. From doing the thing you're scared of until it no longer controls you. Every success story you admire began with someone who refused to stop taking action. They weren't born confident. They weren't handed clarity. They created it through doing. They learned what worked and what didn't by trying, failing, and adjusting. That's how mastery is born. Not from perfect plans, but from repeated practice. You can't steer a parked car. You have to start moving to gain direction. The secret is to stop overthinking and start doing. Take the first small step. Make the call. Start the workout. Write the paragraph. Launch the idea. Don't worry about whether it's good enough. Worry about whether you're consistent enough. Because once you start moving, you can refine along the way. You can adjust your course, improve your approach, and build momentum that no setback can stop. Success is not about luck. It's about motion. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about trusting that your effort will compound, because it will. Each step, no matter how small, builds a foundation that failure can't shake. The more you move, the stronger you become. And one day, you'll look back and realize that every tiny action you took, even the ones that felt meaningless, were the very things that turned your failures into success. So don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for motivation. Move first, and everything else will follow. Because when you act consistently, when you move forward no matter what, life has no choice but to move with you. The most powerful transformation happens when you decide to reinvent yourself. Failure doesn't define who you are. It reveals who you can become. But too many people get stuck because they keep identifying with the version of themselves that fell short. They replay their mistakes. They cling to their regrets. They carry their failures like proof that they're not enough. But that mindset keeps you trapped in the past. You cannot step into success while holding on to the identity of someone who failed. At some point, you have to let go of who you were and choose who you're going to be. That's where true power begins. When you fail, it's easy to let that moment become your identity. You tell yourself stories like, I'm not capable, I always mess things up, or maybe this isn't for me. Those stories become beliefs, and those beliefs shape your behavior. And as long as you hold on to them, you'll keep repeating the same patterns. But here's the truth. The story isn't over. Failure is only permanent if you decide to stop writing the next chapter. The moment you choose to see yourself not as someone who lost, but as someone who learned, everything changes. You begin to take back your power. Reinvention starts with awareness. You have to look at your life and ask, what is this failure trying to teach me about myself? Maybe it's showing you that your habits weren't strong enough, that your mindset was limited, that your priorities were misaligned. Maybe it's revealing that you were operating out of fear instead of faith. Whatever it is, awareness is the beginning of transformation, because once you see the lesson, you can use it to build a new version of yourself, one who's wiser, stronger, and more focused than ever before. Growth requires release. You can't climb while holding on to the weight of who you used to be. You have to let go of old excuses, old stories, old limitations. The person you were when you failed was doing the best they could with what they knew. But now you know more. You've seen what doesn't work. You felt the pain of falling short. That knowledge is priceless, because now you have the blueprint for who you must become to succeed. Reinvention isn't about forgetting your past, it's about using it as fuel to create your future. Every time you rise from failure, you prove to yourself that you're not defined by outcomes, you're defined by growth. That realization changes everything. It shifts your focus from results to evolution. You stop chasing validation and start building mastery. You begin to see failure not as proof of weakness, but as evidence of progress. Because only those who try, only those who risk, only those who dare have the chance to fall. And that means they also have the chance to rise. Turning pain into power is a conscious choice. You can use the energy of failure to destroy your confidence, or you can use it to build your drive. Pain is powerful. It demands your attention. When you channel that pain into purpose, it becomes unstoppable. The disappointment you feel, the frustration, the regret, all of it can become the fire that pushes you forward. But you have to decide that your story will not end in defeat. You have to decide that the pain you feel now will one day become the reason someone else doesn't give up. Reinvention is not a one-time act, it's a lifelong commitment to growth. Every season of life will demand a new version of you. The mindset that helped you survive won't be the same mindset that helps you thrive. You'll have to keep evolving, keep learning, keep releasing what no longer serves you. That's the process of becoming unstoppable. Constant renewal. And the moment you embrace that, failure loses its power to scare you. Because you understand that every setback is simply another invitation to transform. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of pain, fear, and doubt. A version that's stronger, braver, more certain, and more capable than you can imagine right now. But you'll never meet that version if you keep holding on to the old one. You have to make the decision to step forward, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain. Because success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about reinventing yourself through it, until the person who once fell becomes unrecognizable to the person who now stands tall. So take your pain, your disappointment, your failures, and turn them into your power. Let them remind you of your strength, your capacity to grow, your ability to rise. You are not your past, you are the lesson it gave you. Reinvention is the art of turning every scar into strength, every loss into wisdom, and every failure into the foundation of your success. The day you decide to rise above who you were, who is the day you begin to step fully into who you were meant to become.